Hey guys, it's Grant Balfour here, ex-pitcher of the Tampa Bay Rays, Oakland Athletics, Minnesota Twins, Milwaukee Brewers, Cincinnati Reds. I just wanted to say you're watching MattieC Sports for You and Me podcast. Enjoy the show. Mattie's got a lot of great things to talk about, wide range of sports. Get on there. Hope to see you guys soon on the show. All right, guys. Take care.
On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch.
Coming in at 320 kilobytes per second, it's time for MattieC's Sports for you and me.
All right, everybody, MattieC Sports for you and me. I got a special guest here, a Canadian UFC fighter out of Windsor, Ontario, TJ Laramie. And TJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, man, and welcome to the show. Like I said to you before, it's my first international UFC fighter, especially one up north. So welcome to the show. So you got a 12-5-0 record, and you seem to be doing well for yourself. That's a great record. And what got you into the MMA game?
So originally, I was just more of a fan of the sport. I was kind of always a little bit more athletic when I was a little bit younger and did a bunch of sports in grade school and stuff like that. But my dad kind of introduced me to MMA and like fighting in general as like more of a fan thing. I tried out a kickboxing class one day when I was like 12 years old, I think. And it's been history ever since, pretty much.
That's awesome, man. And you grew into what you are now, really.
Yeah.
And how does it feel, like that UFC atmosphere and like how the UFC conducts, taking care of their fighters and stuff like that?
I mean, it's quite professional, obviously. But I've had like a pretty blessed career as to where I've been able to fight for some pretty established organizations already, especially like TKO. They treated their fighters like special, like we got picked up in the limos, driven to the event in the limos. Like it was like very professional pre-fight interviews, photo shoots, all that stuff. And the production was amazing. So when it came to the UFC, it was familiar in that sense. I mean, I was a lot more comfortable going into the whole fight week this time around, especially because it was more of a normal fight week without the COVID nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
First fight, obviously, I definitely had some pre-fight jitters and stuff, being my first UFC fight. But at the end of the day, it's fighting, man. Whether it's in the UFC or it's outside of the UFC, I'd treat the matchup the same. I got to put that in my head and can't put it on a pedestal too much,
Yeah. And for you, it's like you said, TKO, that's a big deal up there. Am I right? Like big organization, UFC is obviously the top for most, but up in Canada is TKO like the, like, what do I compare it to, like Bellator type of thing up there?
Well, TKO is currently not around right now, but it makes like sporadic returns for about a couple of years at a time. And I was lucky enough to be a part of one of their runs. They've also produced guys like George St. Pierre, Mark Hominick, Sam Stout. You know what I mean? Those are all TKO guys. Me, Charles Jourdain, Jesse Ronson, Marc-Andre Barrio, to name a few people. It's a bunch of guys that all came from TKO, so they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, and you guys got some contenders up there that are really hungry and really can throw, and you're one of them. So, I mean, I wanted to talk about the fight in Laval, like your win over there. Like, how did it feel at that particular spot? I mean, just north of Montreal, and what was that like in that fight? I know that was a good win for you.
What fight's this?
That was you were the main card in Laval. If I look at my notes real quick, I had it on just here. Sorry. Oh, when you fought João Luis Nogueira.
Oh, yeah. So that fight was amazing. That was probably the biggest test I had. I was only 20 years old, fighting a guy on a 13-fight unbeaten streak who was undefeated at 145. And he had about 30 professional fights, so, and it was a fight I actually asked for because I thought it was a good test, and it was a good way to really test where I was. Because at that time, I really wanted to get to the UFC. I was in such a rush, even though I was only 20 years old. But yeah, that atmosphere in there was amazing, especially, like building a Montreal fan base for a guy who's from Ontario, just having people there that I don't even know cheering me on and all that, sold out crowds. It feels good, to have that kind of influence and have that kind of fan base, especially in a place that you're not from. But being their champion at the time, I felt like people were learning to love me. And yeah, it was great, especially getting the win in the 5th round. So I got the full experience of a title fight. And then I got to finish him right at the end. So it was really a picture-perfect fight. One of my favorite fights today. So,
yeah. And I mean, like, the list goes on with you where you're just got to say it, knocking motherfuckers out.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's awesome that you're, going around like that. And, your first contender series, you fought, the guy hurt his ribs. I mean, was it from you or was it just his own injury?
Honestly, it's hard to say. Like, I feel like he was kind of looking for a way out of the fight more than anything. I don't know if it was a real injury or what. I don't want to
speculate or something.
Yeah, speculate or whatever. But I was definitely dominating the fight and beating him where he was good. So I felt like he was kind of just looking for a way out. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but it was a dominant victory either way.
And the last fight you had with Patsabatini, I watched it, and it was really, really close. And it was unanimous, of course. And I mean, I feel like that was, was that your true test? And that was like the main thing where you felt like you were in the zone and this is where your home is. This is UFC, and you weren't uncomfortable for that fight?
No, yeah, not at all. I mean, I felt a little gun shy a little bit because I hadn't fought in like almost over a year and a half now, but the longest time. But there's no excuses. I felt physically extremely prepared. I felt mentally extremely prepared. Like no jitters, nothing. It was just fight day for me. Just another day. I felt like performance was it was so. I did some things well, did some things not so well, but I felt like the fight itself was just changed over some very small things. And that's a fight I can win against the guy who's about to break the top 15. So I know exactly where I'm at in the division. I took that fight, that opponent switch on 4 weeks notice, myself coming off a loss against the guy who's 3-0 in the last year in the UFC, So I felt like either way, win or lose, I showed a lot more than I did in my first UFC fight for sure. And I'm just going to grow from here. I feel the UFC is going to have me back. I'm hoping, and I'll be able to prove myself once again.
What did you think of last week's card, if you happen to check it out?
So there's the 2 Canadians that won, right? I believe that was last week's card.
The main event was an American.
Oh, I'm thinking 2 weeks ago. Yeah. That was with Rob Font and Cheeto Vera, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that fight was crazy. I actually stopped watching the card after the Andre Fili and Joe Anderson Brito fight just because that was my weight class. So I was just kind of curious to see how it would go. But yeah, I actually didn't get to see, I seen some highlights of the Cheeto Vera one, but it seemed crazy, man. And also too, Tristan Connolly had a good fight, the other Canadian, against Darren Elkins there. I pretty much either only watch my weight class now or other Canadians now when I watch the UFC, or if it's a pay-per-view or something like that.
Oh, that's respectable, man. I mean, you got to represent, your countrymen for sure. And that kid Rob Font is from this area, so like he had like Massachusetts on his back. And
for sure.
what a fight that was. And Vera wasn't nobody to mess with. And he was he got him down, and it was a good even fight until he started bashing his face in a little bit, but actually a lot of bit. But yeah, I mean that was a great fight. And one of the people I've interviewed many times, Carlos Candelario, he was a scratch for that too. So yeah, so the featherweights came out and played last week. So I mean, do you see yourself coming back on a fight night card or a main card? Like it seems like you're not done in the UFC just yet.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they give me another go, whether they do or whether they don't. Hopefully, I'm still obviously going to continue in the sport. I'm young, lots of time left. But there's rumors that there's a card coming to Toronto in September, and that would be a perfect time for me to be back. That's just some rumors I heard around the end of September that there's going to be a UFC card coming to Toronto and Ontario, my home province. I don't think there's a better way to come back and make a statement than in a place like that. It gives me chills even talking about it. It'd be amazing. But we'll see. I hope that's what they got and planned for me, but you never know.
That's Maple Leafs territory right there.
Yeah, Scotiabank Arena, most likely.
Yeah, that's a big venue too. And those people up there don't stop screaming. Even if the Maple Leafs are losing, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you're a hockey fan or not, but
not so much, but I've been to a few games.
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, me from Boston, there's a lot of MMA around here. The Northeast is kind of building up, and in Canada, is it like you have your own gym? You still at maximum training, right?
Yeah, for the most part. And then I also train in Michigan and Ohio. I've been spending way more time in Ohio now too. In Toledo there.
Oh, okay. And is there more training opportunity down here more than up in Canada? Like is there more gyms or things like that, or more?
Yeah, as far as competition goes, I would say Canada only has a few select spots. Other than that, all the good Canadians are in the States, Okay. So, like I would say Niagara Top Team is pretty much the best gym in Canada right now, other than like TriStar maybe. But TriStar and Niagara Top Team, and then you got some places out west in BC that are good, but still, training partners, there's not as many because a lot of the good guys from these areas are going to the States to get their training camps in, It's just something you can't beat.
Gotcha. I mean, I would never have known that. I mean, that's why I was wondering if Canada had good training spots, because it's so wide open out in Canada. And I'm surprised that like there's not as much gyms or things like that, because you guys are coming to the States, which is good. I mean, and it's right under you. You go to Ohio and Michigan, right? Like that's just pretty much south for you.
Yeah, to get to Ohio, it takes me an hour from my front door to the parking lot. It takes me an hour and 20 minutes. It's not very far.
Oh, really? That's even better.
Yeah, not too far at all. I can go there and come back the same day.
And I saw like the restrictions for Canada were ridiculous. I mean, like all the rules they had for COVID and all that stuff. Was that like really angering you guys? And like, were you staying in the States a lot more than you did during their, because Canada is kind of lifting their stuff slowly, right? That's still up there.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I have a visa, so I wasn't too affected, even though I was affected a little bit by the restrictions. But even now, like Canada's so ridiculous. So I'll cross over, cross back, and I do it a few times a week. And then they're like, you don't have to wear a mask in Michigan, you don't have to wear a mask in Ontario anymore. But when you pull up to the booth to hand them your passport, and on the Canadian side, you're mandatory to wear a mask. So it's the weirdest thing ever, man. And so it's like you pull up to the booth, you're like, where's your mask? I'm like, I don't have one. Like, I don't need to wear one on the other side of this or on in the US. So like, oh, well, you should know you need a mask. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about, man? As soon as I drive, I get to take it off. Like, this is the craziest thing to me, but whatever. They're gonna hold on to every little thing until they can't. So
yeah, and that must be a pain in the ass. I mean, that's like what, 5 feet the border.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like the little booth, like that's literally 5 feet across, 5 feet forward. That's ridiculous. And it's crazy how COVID has affected everybody in the United States. Is starting to get a lot less crazy. You know, for people that are getting COVID, I understand like it's still a hard thing, but I mean, it's getting better by the minute. So, I mean, that's a good part of it. But I mean, so now, like, what are you looking towards for the future? Are you gunning for anybody in the UFC, or are you just taking it fight by fight?
Definitely two people I'd want to fight is either Luis Saldana, I think is a good fight for me, or Charles Rosa, I think is a very good fight for me. That's a guy from your area, I believe. I could be wrong, but
who
Charles Rosa, I thought he was from Massachusetts, but I could be wrong about this.
I probably would have known that.
I could definitely be wrong. But.
Or he might be just from the area. Yeah, Boston Strong Rosa. That's pretty. That pretty much tells it.
Yeah, well, I thought so.
Yeah, and he works with the America's Top Team, so he's north of me. He's in Peabody, so. But yeah, I mean that's a good thing that you like already know who you're targeting. Whether the Dana gives it to you or not, that's the other thing. But obviously, you're doing something right if you're still contracted with the UFC. I mean,
yeah, I think as far as the Canadian audience goes, I'm pretty popular in the Canadian MMA scene. I'm a young guy, you know, I put it on almost every time I go out there. You know, it's going to be an exciting fight, or I'm going to put on a good show for people. I feel like I'm a likable personality too. I'm young still, and I got lots of potential. So I think I get a good viewership.
And I see that in you, and like I watched some of your fights. I had to do some research a little bit just to see where you fought with where you were, and I can appreciate your game. I mean, you're well rounded. You don't take offense to going to the fence or going grappling or wrestling. You're striking, and you're on. I didn't expect it, like with your weight and stuff like that you really can throw some punches, man. I mean,
yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah, but when I let it go, I do all right. I just need to let it go a little bit more often.
And are you good friends with most most Canadian fighters? I mean, you guys are big family up there, like supporting each other.
I mean, for the most part, we're friendly. Like, there's only so many of us at the higher level, right? So we got to be like a little bit, like the chances of us fighting each other are slim to none. I think actually at 145 featherweight is the most Canadians in the, like, there's like 5 Canadian 145ers. I don't even think there's like 2 Canadians in other weight classes throughout the UFC, barely. And there's like 6 in 145 male. It's crazy.
It's like I think you and Elias Theodore are like the big guns up there.
Elias, yeah, he's cool, man.
He can throw down.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys are and he's big. I know he's big up in the cannabis world too. He's a big
big
promoter of that.
lead advocate for sure, 100%. He's like one of the first athletes that actually got sanctioned to like bypass the rules or whatever.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, that's good for you guys too. I mean, making a big statement like that. He's a Toronto guy, right? Around that area.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours from where I'm at
Oh,
driving.
gee. Well, so my final question to you is really like, you know, what's in it? What's the future for you? And what is it you want to take from your experience in MMA? I mean, are you happy with what's going on so far? And, you know, how much more? I mean, you're young, so it you know, I don't know if you want to fight till you're 40, but
I mean, like it's hard to say exactly. I feel like when I was younger, a big part of me was always like, you know, you always think like, because I was a younger like prodigy, you know, people would call me like prodigy, like whatever, and you always think it's going to be a straight line to the top every time, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But fighting it almost never goes like this. You're always going to have up and downs, whether that's canceled fights, losses, you know, it's all an experience. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say unfortunately, I think it's going to pay off in the end. I didn't really take easy fights throughout my career, you know, like maybe the first 2 to 3 were a little bit lesser competition than myself. But like after that, it was like I was always trying to find the best guys to fight, to challenge myself, something to really push forward to. Like I said, I was 20 years old fighting a guy with a 27-6 record or something like that, 25-6 record. You know, that's like pretty unheard of at that age. And I was always looking for more. Every time when I lost, I wanted to get that back always. You know, I would be down to rematch anybody I lost to. So I'm always improving. You know, I'm always getting better. So I think it's just taking it one day at a time, one training session at a time. I love what I do. I started a company, concrete company, so I'm doing that as well.
Nice.
So I mean, I have a lot of things that keep me busy. I'm a barber. I taught myself how to cut hair when I was 16.
All right,
So,
dude, I need a haircut right now, bro. I need a fresh lineup.
easy, bro. Good. But it's like I'm always staying busy. Like I got hobbies that fortunately make me money. So whether it's fighting or something else, I always see fighting in my life. Guaranteed, it's going to be there. It's like a fire that burns in me that'll never die. Whether I'm in the gym helping someone out or just training casually, whatever it is, I'm always going to be in the gym doing something. But for now, it's funny because after my first loss in the UFC, I kind of just wanted to hide away from everything and get away from everybody. And after this loss, it's like I just want to get back in the gym, get better, and I want to kill the next person I fight because of that. You know what I mean? So I've never really been this motivated especially after a loss, to get back in there and really prove myself. So I'm really looking forward to the next opportunity in the next training camp. And I really want to take this fighting thing as far as I can go because, you know, I don't want to really live with no regrets when it's time to hang up the gloves.
Right. And, you know, as you were saying about, you know, the records and stuff, like somebody's 20-6, or, you know, some people really take their numbers seriously in the fight game and they let it overpower. Like it's very, very hard to go, you know, I use boxing as an example, like Mayweather, to go 50-0. It's unheard of. It's ridiculous. You're bound to have a couple losses. And so,
because in boxing, the first 20 fights are all gimme fights. These guys are fighting bums just to, they have good promoters to give it. Like boxing and MMA can't be compared. There's tons of guys. Look at Robbie Lawler came back with like plus 10 losses and won the belt out of nowhere. Nobody, if you would have asked like when he left the UFC and he was in Strikeforce, like, oh, Robbie Lawler is going to be the world champ. He's going to be the best 170 in the world. Everybody would have been like, you're stupid. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. And then he did it. So it's like everybody has a different path to the top or to success, right? Every single person does. There's tons of people that lost their UFC debuts. Look where they're at now. Max Holloway lost his UFC debut. Jan Blachowicz was 1-4 in the UFC at one point, and then he became the champion. So, like I said, it's all everybody's path to the title is different. Then you got guys like Khabib, flawless all the way up, right? So it's different.
And that's the funny thing too, is like next week is another main card, and guy who's very knowledgeable and pretty popular in the MMA world here, Joe Lauzon, is fighting Cowboy Cerrone. Now, Lauzon has the most bonuses in UFC, and Cowboy is Cowboy. Everybody knows who Donald Cowboy Cerrone is. And that's going to be an epic fight there in its own. And that card's stacked too. But, like you said, I mean, those guys don't have undefeated records, but they got not the perfect records, but guys get really down on themselves, and then their career starts to slip because they're thinking about that zero on their card. I mean, like yourself, I mean, you're 12-5, but you're still in the UFC, and like you said, you are right that you fought these guys, and you fought prominent guys. You don't fight, guys from the street. You're fighting guys who have legit talent, and people like Dana White and different people look at that instead of, you losing the fight. They see it as, well, this kid can bang. This kid's tough. Like, this kid doesn't mess around. Like, he's willing to come. This is a person I want in my organization. So yeah. There's a reason why you're in the UFC, bro.
100%.
So, I mean, I got nothing but respect for you, and glad you could come out, and, you're an entrepreneur, for fuck's sake. I mean, you cut hair, you do concrete work, and you got UFC. So you got stuff that you're ready for, even besides UFC. You have a future ahead of that, and if you need it. So that's good stuff. So, so your next thing is grappling, huh?
I'm grappling up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, May 29th. Bryant Pabon is the guy I'm supposed to be fighting. It's actually live on Flow Grappling. So yeah, I'm excited. I haven't done a grappling super fight in a while, and the first one I did, I kind of just I just did it for fun. I didn't even really take it serious. But this one, I'm coming to scrap. You know what I mean? Yeah. I really want to get more competitive in the grappling world too. I train with Dante Leon and a lot of the high level grapplers. So I get a lot of working with these guys, and the sports jiu-jitsu stuff too. I get a lot of working with that, and just staying active. I don't want to be on the shelf for a year and a half anymore, whether that's grappling or anything. I'd like to be in there, staying active, and I'm looking forward to being to winning on May 29th there.
Well, I appreciate that. And I hope there's a fight coming for you soon, a little bit sooner than September in Toronto, but definitely want to see something like that. So, TJ, I want to thank you for coming on the show. And thanks for being the first Canadian on my show.
Thank you for
I should say first Canadian MMA fighter on my show.
Okay, thank you.
I really appreciate it, man. And I wish you nothing but luck with your career. Oh yeah. Oh, one thing was, what is the name behind the Truth?
So pretty much my coach. I made my pro debut in Japan, right? So pretty much, coach just like they kind of like that weird mystique shit over there, and he was just put that as the nickname, pretty much.
That's awesome, man. The Truth over here is Paul Pierce, but
yeah.
But yeah, man. So again, I wish you nothing but luck in can't wait to see you on the next card, or you can let me know when you're on the next card. And good luck with the grappling series you got, and we'll definitely talk again, man, for sure.
For sure, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. So, yeah, like I said, good luck with everything, and still kick some ass, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks for watching MattieC's Sports for You and Me. Make sure to follow Matty Cameron on Twitter at MattCameron23, or follow him on Instagram at MattieC23, or subscribe to his YouTube channel, MattieC's Sports for You and Me. Once again, thanks for watching.